Senator Marshall.
Chairman Sanders, I'd like to call up Marshall Amendment number 1. This amendment is critical to protect a successful, proven method for Americans to achieve personal and financial success, the joint employer model, or more commonly seen in practice as franchises. With the franchise model, I've seen many veterans, women, and minorities become business owners, a very successful model. When I think of Wichita, Kansas, I think of so many franchises getting their origin there. While at the same time we have a strong union presence in our aerospace industry, that at least in that community there appears to be a good balance between the success of the unions and the success of franchises, and I want them both to be successful. Every franchise in Kansas I speak to loves the current joint employer model. Many of them have been in my office this week. They can run their franchise like their own independent small business while having their franchisor as a support system. If the broad definition of a joint employer in this bill were to be enacted, the entire system would be upended. Franchisors would invade these small businesses and have to micromanage each location because of the legal uncertainty the PRO Act's definitions can create. At that point, current franchises will essentially become corporate managers with no say in how the business operates, killing many of these small businesses, forcing many out of their opportunity to live this American dream. Being a middleman isn't a pathway for Americans to find prosperity. We must have a clear and narrow definition of a joint employer to preserve the tried and true system we have today. This amendment would do so by defining a joint employer as one who is directly, actually, and immediately in control of the business operations. This includes hiring, firing, setting salaries, and all the responsibilities we think of when someone's in charge of a business. If you're the one putting up the money, the time, the sweat, taking the risk to start a business, you shouldn't have to have some corporate overlord looking over you. You should have the freedom to operate how you see best for your business and your employees. I hope my colleagues on this committee will join me in supporting this amendment and maintain a pathway that has led to success for so many Americans. Thank you.
Thank you. I oppose Senator Marshall's amendment. This amendment would undermine protections for workers whose workplaces are controlled by more than one employer. This amendment would not only weaken workers' bargaining rights, it would also weaken their ability to receive overtime, minimum wage, and equal pay. I urge my colleagues at the appropriate time to vote no on this amendment. Further discussion, Senator Cassidy.
I thank Senator Marshall. I will note that his underlying bill upon this amendment is based has the support of over 40 different organizations. But, you know, we can talk about organizations. Let's talk about people. I stayed recently at a hotel in Monroe, Louisiana, right off the interstate like you see these. The owner comes out. We meet. Great guy from India, moved here, had never started a business. He got help from, I think it was Hilton, put the business together. Now he's got like 5 different things. And he takes these hotels and he works with them, but he's the one who runs it. And he shows me this is where we do the towels. And I ask, what if somebody vomits on it? How do you clean it up? And he tells me how they clean it up, and on and on. Now,
how do they clean it up? We all want to know.
They got this huge, this kind of industrial sort of, and this shouldn't count against my time, industrial washing machine. It's quite remarkable because he's responsible for the loss that would occur if somebody soiled linen and you could not reuse it. Now he's on the hook for that. So the idea that because he gets advice when he starts his business from Hilton means that they're in a joint employer relationship ignores the role that this man plays. I will point out that almost a third of franchise owners report they would not own a business if not franchisees. Closer to 40% of female franchise owners and first-time businesses say they would not own a business if they were not franchisees. In this piece of legislation, we seek to make them not franchisees but employees. And in that becoming an employee, they lose a lot. More importantly, our communities lose a lot. So I strongly support those small employers. I strongly support Senator Marshall's amendment. I strongly support that hotelier in Monroe, Louisiana, and everyone who likes him, who came from another country and found opportunity because of things such as this, which this bill attempts to kill.